Alright, this is the Skimmer Project, and we are creating a skimmer that we're going to throw on the ground and get it to go across as far as possible. In doing so, we're going to make sure that all of our measurements and everything are accurate and our workmanship is done very well. So for this, all you need is a manila folder, a ruler, and a pencil. So as we look at the plans for the skimmer, first thing we're going to do is we're going to make the main body panel. Our first objective is to create a rectangle that is 11 by 4 inches. We're going to do that by working from the corner and go up 4 inches from the corner. We got to make sure that this bottom part is straight enough to where it's going to be the bottom part of the skimmer. So 4 inches from the top or from the bottom. We're going to mark that right there. Okay, and then we're going to go over here to the other side and go 4 inches. And then we're going to take our ruler and draw a straight line from one point to the other. So we have our 4 inches, but we still have to get our 11 inches across. So we're going to create 2 marks at 11 inches on this line. And another mark at the very bottom at 11 inches. Create a line from those 2 points, and you have your 4 by 11 rectangle. One thing that I would recommend is doing this so that you know that that's a part that you can cut off later and get rid of that whenever it's time to start cutting. Now as we look at this, we've created our 4 by 11. Now we're working on our 1/2 inch lines across the board. And then one thing to note is that we have our 3 inch solid, and the rest of the way would be the dotted lines, and then we have our dotted lines at our 3 inch mark. So one thing to do from each spot, go down 1/2 inch. Over here, 1/2 inch. So we got 2 points there. I'm going to put 2 points right over here at 1/2 inch. 1/2 inch. Okay. Now, from those 2 points, the first 3 inches will be solid. So I'm going to line my ruler up. Make sure you don't line the edge up, but the actual where it starts at 0. From that point, make sure that it's lined up down here at the bottom, and we are going to create a line solid for 3 inches, and then the rest of the way we will dot it. Okay, so there's the 3 inch, and then dot it the rest of the way. So and then you're going to do the same thing as you have that. You're going to do the same thing on this bottom row. It's always good to kind of double check your measurements before you start doing too much work at this, so that you are very accurate, and when you do go to fold, they're the same length and all the cuts are nice and clean. Okay, looking here, this looks like I didn't get that as straight as possible. I want something wrong with the ruler. Going through here, keeping that nice straight line. Okay, and then from our 3 inches, we are going to then do another dotted line. So I'm just going to double check this to make sure we have it right at 3 inches. Which that one is, and this one is right on it. So from those 2 spots, we're going to run dotted lines. And remember, dotted lines are where we're going to fold and not cut. Solid lines are where we're going to cut. So as we look at this, we have our main body finished. We're going to move on to the next phase, which is the fins, 2 of them, and then the air scoop. So our fins are going to be on the edge. But in order to do that, if we look at this, this is 3 inches, and this is also 3 inches. So we're going to create a line that is 3 inches from the bottom of, or from the top of the main body panel. So I'm going to go 3 inches from the top of this, and 3 inches from the top of this. Now, at any time, you can pause the video and slow it down, go back, and see what I'm doing. I'm going to create a line all the way across. You don't want to create it too dark because then you're probably going to be doing a little bit of erasing and adjustments to that. So now we have this 3 inches all the way across. We're going to use this part right here, which is our 90-degree angle for our fins. So this part right here will be this part. If we look at this, it tells us we need to go 1/2 inch here, 3 inch over here, then 1/2 inch up. A lot of people forget about that 1/2 inch up, so we'll get that in there. So the first thing is I'm going to move this 3 inches down the line. Mark that. And we'll go ahead and darken it just a little bit. And this one is 1/2 inch. 1/2 inch. Now, in order to get this to go up our straight line needs 2 points. So since this is 3 inches, we're going to go over 3 inches just to make something that will help us line up our ruler, even though we will have this. I just like doing it for practice. I'm going to line this up. I'm going to put my 0 right there, put 3 here, and I know to go up 1/2 inch, so I'm going to go up to the 2.5 mark. It gives us 1/2 inch. And when we have that, we just connect from this point to that point. We don't need to measure it. Just connect it. Like so. So then we have our fin done, our first one. We're going to do the next one on the opposite side. So we're going to use this 90-degree angle to now create the other fin. So on the bottom, I'm going to go over 3 inches. So take a 3, mark it right at the 0, go 1/2 inch, darken it up just a little bit. Do that. Also, I need to make this 3 inches. So I got something to line my 2 points up. Again, if you don't have it, you're going to be off a little bit here and there. So make sure that you do that. I'm going to put my 0 right there on the line. And again, I'll go up. Have those lined up, go up to the 2.5 mark. And then from there, you're going to then connect those points. And you should have something that looks like that as far as your fins go. Now the next part gets a little tricky with the scoop. When we're looking at the air scoop, we're really looking at this 3x3 square, and then we'll add on these little edges, and as soon as we get that put on. Now one thing to consider is that this is 3/8, so we have to have at least 3/8 from this side. So I like to go at least an inch. That way we can make sure that we're doing that. In order to do so, we will go, since we know this is 3 inches, we're going to go over 4 inches and then 7 inches, because the 4 to the 7 give us that 3-inch square that we're going to create. So the first thing is on the top. It doesn't matter which side you do it from. I just do it from this side because it's convenient here. I'm going to mark it at 4, and I'm going to mark it 7. Same thing here. I'm going to mark it 4 inches. I'm going to mark it 7 inches. Okay. Now, since it's 3 inches tall, we have 3 inches wide. Between the 4 and the 7. Now we're ready to go. Now, if we go back and look at this, we want to make sure that we put dotted lines as our vertical lines. That allows us to know, or that tells us that we are going to fold those later. And so I'm going to go ahead and dot those as we go down. And dot these. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and make this a little bit more solid here so that we can actually see the square a little bit better and understand what that color is right there. So right there's our 3x3 square. So we have this, and now we have to create these little flaps that we have here, which it says we need to go 1/8 on the top, 3/8 on the bottom on both sides. When we look at a ruler, 1/8 will be the second little tick mark right there, and also 3/8 would be your 6 tick marks. So when you guys are counting those, that's one way to do it. Or if you just kind of know how to read the ruler, you can judge by how tall the lines are and go from there. But this one right here is 1/8, so that'd be 2 ticks. So I'm going to go 1, 2, and I'm right there. Okay, so it's not too far away from here. This next one is 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to set it right there. I'm going to mark it at 0. And here, I'm going to mark this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I'm going to mark it right there at the 3/8. Okay. Now, you should have 4 new marks that you're ready to go. Now, don't worry about these marks right here. That's just from the last thing that we did. Connect those 2 dots, just like this. And then to go ahead and just draw a straight line across there so that you can see the part easily. That is beneficial there for later when you're doing cutting. Okay. Remember, do not cut the dotted lines. So that's kind of how you make the main parts to the skimmer. One thing I like to do is erase this top line, because the more lines you have, the more confusing it gets. So it's easily seen on like what kind of parts there are. So you can see the 2 fins and the main body. So take a look at that. Then after this, we're going to design our body. One thing that's important here is that if you're going to write anything, you want to make sure you write the letters. Like, let's say you're going to go ahead and write Mizzou. Okay. Mizzou. Now, on this side, if you write Mizzou over here, it's actually going to be upside down, because this is where the fold is where the bottom is going to be. So in order to get it to be the same thing, you're going to have to write Mizzou the other way. Okay. The way we look at this is the main body. So if you ignore all this stuff, the main body, this is the way it's going to be tossed. So this is going to be the front. You don't need to write all this. This is just something that to a reminder, like when you're designing this, where it's supposed to be. And this will be the back. Okay. This will fold down, and we'll have all that. These fins right here are going to be glued to this. So it's going to, this part right here, you won't even see this, because this is going to glue over the top of that. Oops, right here. This part will be glued over here. So from here, all this, you won't even be able to see it. So if you design that, it's not really worth doing right now. So when you design your fins, these are designed already so that they're on the outsides. And later, if you want to do the insides, you can turn them that way. This is the very bottom air scoop, so you won't really need to design it. You might want to color it, whatever. One objective I have for you guys, if you have time, is to make sure that everything is covered and colored and designed. Try to avoid any manila folder, the look of it, the color of it, and try and go over all that. We'll get to the cutting part later, but we'll cut everything that has solid lines, and then dotted lines will be your folds. Anything other than that, just ask me question or whatever. But if you need any help with that, just let me know. All right, thank you.